Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Football Heritage TV, promoting Andy's Man Club for any men out there that need to talk. Anybody that is in trouble, needs to talk, feels lonely, depressed, suicidal. Hashtag Andy's Man Club. By the way, this isn't a paid feature. This is one of them days. Let's get it done, people. If you need some support, look for a local Andy's Man Club. Big up to each and every one of you. It is Cup semi-final day. We're going to be joined, I believe, by Dave from the Irish Hotspur. He's not here yet. We'll see if he turns up. Look, it is semi-final day, and where to begin? This will be one of them days where hopefully all the fan base are very happy come 10:30 p.m. tonight. Unfortunately, what will happen is whether we win or lose, there'll just be a massive divide in the fan base, won't there? Let's be brutally honest. I've already started, by the way. I've started writing a list. And at the moment, I've got 20 names. Let's see if you can guess them. I've got 20 names of who will come in if we win into my show after the game and who won't. 20 names. I've started writing them down because I know this YouTube game far too easily. It is like clockwork. Let's hope, though, that we're all happy. Let's hope that we're all happy. Guys, girls, Anfield. Tough place. Tough place to go, Anfield. Look, we've got the lead. And I don't know if anyone remembers my first, the watch along for the first leg, where I said, whatever happens, by hook, by crook, play well, play bad, whatever happens, just get to Anfield with a lead. Just get there. If you go there drawing, I think it's over. We've got a lead. We've got something to play for. We've got something to protect. Now this all goes down to me. For me, it all comes down to, what does the manager do? And it is. People will say, oh, the manager. It's all on the manager. We saw last night. Look at the wonderful coaching and tactics of Eddie Howe. I still can't believe I see this guy getting so much flack. People go, I wouldn't want Eddie. Eddie Howe's a fantastic manager. He's done absolutely brilliantly. Again, the way he approached both legs was spot on. That's a coach. That's a manager you can be proud of. That's who I would love, someone like that at Tottenham Hotspur. I would love someone like that. I thought he got his game plan absolutely spot on last night. He knew Arsenal were going to have the ball. He knew it. He knew Arsenal were going to have the ball. And he said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to a 5-3-2. Yeah. First half was very much a 5-3-2. Second half, he went more to a 5-4-1. And I thought it was excellent. And again, this isn't a one-off. We saw it in the first leg. The first leg, Newcastle came out and battered Arsenal in the first half. Second half, sat in. And just to have that, I'd love to have that in my club. And I'm guessing, big up morning, Craig Lee, I'm guessing that the Newcastle fans are feeling very, very happy that their manager is Eddie Howe. I just think they were excellent last night. But I would say this before we laugh at Arsenal. A lot of people wanting to laugh at Arsenal. I've learnt my lesson way too much with this football club at Tottenham. I've learnt my lesson, right? I'm not going to laugh at anyone knowing that Spurs could be very, very, very Spursy tonight. Look, I'm going to start as we mean to go on. Please smash that like button. Look, we've got 150 in here already and growing, and only 34 likes. Guys, it's getting really shit, the number of likes we're getting on the show. Either you don't like what I'm doing, or we're just being very, very lazy. Yeah, kudos. I don't take this. For me, it's a little bit childish. I don't take this stance. I can't laugh at football clubs that are far better than my own. I can't do it. We can joke with them, but 24 hours before the big game for Spurs, we're all going, gutted Arsenal, you bottled it. I'm like, whoa. Let's let our players go and do our job first before we talk about bottling. It is what it is, right? Look, I thought that Eddie Howe was absolutely superb. Newcastle, every single player to a man, every single player was fantastic, and they fully deserved their resounding victory over 2 legs. I'll let the Arsenal fans go to their inquest. That's not my job. My job isn't to find an inquest for Arsenal Football Club. My job is as a Tottenham fan. My job is as a Tottenham fan. And that's what we'll do. Lots of questions we're going to talk about today. Lots of questions. Does Tell go straight into the team? Does Danso come straight into the team? If he does, who drops out? Is it Gray? Is it Davis? If it's Gray, does he go into midfield? Does he sit on the bench? Who goes into midfield? For me, I think at Anfield, I think you've got to go with Bentancur, Sarr, and Basuma. I think you need as much power and experience in there as possible. For me, this isn't a game for Bergvall. That's only my opinion. This isn't a game for Bergvall. I truly think that he's a little bit hot-headed. I think we need some cool, calm customers out there tonight. We're going to have a lot of defending to do, by the way. If anyone doesn't believe that, I think you're crazy. We're going to have a lot of defending to do tonight. Anfield is going to be kitchen sink thrown at Tottenham, especially in the second half if they haven't got a goal yet. And we're going to have to be switched on. We're going to have to be well drilled. We're going to have to play the game of our lives, I think, to win tonight. And if we get through, then absolutely fair enough. If we don't, look, it's been a good cup run. If we don't, we then move to Sunday. But look, let's see where we are come 10 o'clock, 10:30 tonight, depending on extra time penalties, depending whether or not it goes that far. Let's see. Let's see, shall we? Yeah, lots of people asking for Angus. Where is Angus? Where is Angus? He started last night in my big up chat talking about, yeah, we're going to win tonight. Obviously, when he says we, he means Arsenal. And then at 1-0 down, he said, see you later, everyone. I'm off. It was like, where are you going? Listen, I always think it's important. Listen, you know, you're a fan, win, lose, or draw. You say what you want about the club, but, you know, I don't run away when Spurs are losing. Imagine I stopped every watch-along when we were losing a game. We'd have no watch-alongs to do, would we? So he's going to be mad. Before we do anything, let me quickly get to Mario 2012. Big up, brother. Hope you are well. Been a member now for 14 months. 14 months he's been a member for. And he says, today the mighty Spurs go marching on. Has Angus been found? Listen, the first half of your comment, I absolutely hope the Spurs go marching on. Do you know what? Forget whether you leave in, Anjin, leave you out. Forget all that. As fans, we deserve this day, right? As fans, surely we deserve a final. And by the way, when I say a final, it means nothing if you lose it. Surely we deserve a trophy. So, yeah, absolutely, Mario. Thank you very much. And has Angus been found? I haven't seen him. You know what will happen on my watch-along tonight. My watch-along's live from 6 p.m. On my watch-along tonight, Angus will be there the moment if Spurs go 1-0 down. If we go 1-0 down, Angus will absolutely be there. You know it. I know it. Absolutely. Big up to Bella, who has gifted a Football Heritage TV membership. That's very kind of you, Bella. Bella's gifted 2 Football Heritage TV memberships. Thank you, Bella. That is very, very kind of you. And then sandwiched in the middle of that, Mario has gifted 2 Football Heritage TV memberships. That is also very, very kind of you. Thank you to Mario. Thank you to Bella. That is very kind. Let's see who they went to, shall we? Let's see if I can find out. Let's see. Come on. I can't. I'm not sure if I can see who they've gone to yet. Can't see. If you have been given one, then let me know. Hang on. Is Angus here? Is Angus here? Angus! Morning all. Embarrassing for my boys last night. Disgusted by that performance. Arteta out. Kroenke out. Big up, fair play to you, Angus. Always remember, mate, don't run away when you're losing or winning, but big up, well done for being here this morning and facing it. It's only a bit of banter. It's just football. There'll be no abuse in my chat to you. It'll just be a lot of banter, and you know that. So big up to you. Where are we? Let's have a look. Albie has said, win, lose, or draw. We have had a good cup run. Yeah, I mean, Sure, if we want the taking part trophy, yeah, it's been good. But this is where we have to stop. I agree with you, Albie, by the way. But for me, this is where we need to go the next level so that we stop becoming a team that think like this. And I think like this and you think like this. But for us to stop thinking like this, we need to win something. Haaland has said Spurs v Newcastle final. Look, we are 90 minutes away. Guys and girls, right, we're going to end the show if we don't get more likes. We've got to smash that like button. It's getting embarrassing every show now. There's 220 of you in here and 58 likes. Come on, people. What did I do to offend you lot? Come on. Let's do this. Josh Hayden has put in a super sticker. Thank you very much, Josh. Really appreciate that. Guys, if we can't get up for a semi-final, if we can't all smash like buttons and chat and have some banter on Cup semi-final day, what are we doing here? As my man Perchy would say, what are we doing here? Any questions you've got, get them in. Let's see if we can have a chat. Irish Dave was meant to be turning up this morning. I've messaged him. I guess he's overslept, so we'll crack on without him. Yes, yeah. For anyone who doesn't know this, there's a guy who comes into my big up chat who's a Barcelona fan, and he was saying the other day, oh, you guys don't understand. We've had 10 really difficult years at Barcelona. And then when we went and looked, Barcelona have won 17 major honours in 10 years. 17. Oh, people like that don't have any idea what it's like, do they? Big up to Gene Gray, Mark II, has said, Football Heritage TV. Big up, Savva. Enjoy the game against us tonight. Much respect. You'll never walk alone. Big up to you as well. And listen, you've got to say, I mean, good luck to your team. You know, good luck to us. Good luck to you. And enjoy it. That's what football fans used to be about before everyone just wanted to abuse each other. So big up to you. Absolutely, Adiz. Absolutely. Smash that. Adiz, I wish it was one leg, but what you do know is if it was one leg, that first leg wouldn't have been like that, right? Liverpool would have gone full strength. We might, you know what I mean? It like these variations happen, don't they? And thank you to everyone that subscribed. You're only 150 away from 16,500. So thank you to everyone who has helped the channel grow in the last 6 months to a year, and maybe the last three and a half years since the channel's been going. Where are we? Carlos has said, morning all. I'm unwell today, but let's hope Spurs can help me feel a bit better. Well, listen, I do hope you start feeling better soon, mate. I really, really do. Yeah, 1 second. Yusuf. Yeah, so Dave is going to join us very, very soon. Very, very soon. I reckon he's just woken up. We'll have a bit of a laugh with him when he joins. Does anyone know when Solanke is due back roughly? No idea. End of Feb, maybe. End of Feb. It is what it is, but that's what we bought Tell for, right? Isn't that why we signed Tell? Tell, generational, I'm told. Isn't that what he's going to be for? Oh, gosh. Who are our 5 penalty takers? I mean, listen, it all depends who's on the pitch at the time, right? I mean, players will have been subbed on, subbed off. Really difficult to say this. Chris Green has said, I hate to sound negative, but we're away to Liverpool. Their stadium will be rocking, and we may get a lesson in football. A 5-0 loss, I fear. 5-0. I think it's going to be tight. I think they slightly edge us 2-1 in normal time. And then I don't know about extra time or penalties. I don't think it's going to be this battering. I say this about a lot of games this season. I don't ever feel like we're going to get battered. I know we did against Liverpool. But I do think it's going to be a really tough 90 minutes, Chris. I really, really do. Angus said, Savva, you know, the worst thing is they ain't going anywhere. Look, I mean, it's difficult, right? I mean, your fan base has gone from full on, we're going to win titles and we're brilliant. And you were saying we're going to win leagues in the summer. You said, this is our year. We're winning leagues. 6 months later, you're upset that the owners aren't going anywhere. And that's how quickly football changes, right? It's 1 minute we're winning everything. The next minute, you're not. Big up to Anna Dawes, who said, morning, Savva and chat. My bloke is a Liverpool fan and is ribbing me already. hoping for the best, preparing for the worst. Look, let's hope you're ribbing him at the end of the game. Look, one thing I'll say, whatever your opinion of players, managers, owners are today, surely we can all get on one page and we want to win this game. Surely we can all get on that one page. Alpha said Tottenham will beat Liverpool and progress to the final. Hope you do so Hope you do so out-tapped fan base feel even more pain. So our tapped fan base. I don't know who we're talking about there. Are you talking about Spurs fan base or Liverpool's fan base? Who are you talking about there? Andreas, he's got to, hasn't he? He's got to. It'll be really, really disappointing to bring him in and then just have him on the bench, in my opinion. Martin has said we had luck. Coventry couldn't finish. Plucky v United. Look, maybe your luck continues throughout the process. Maybe your luck continues throughout the cup process. Who knows? Listen, all teams need a bit of luck to win things. Is this our year? I don't know. I think it's going to, I saw a lot of people celebrating after the first leg as though it was 2 legs done. There's a lot of football to be played tonight. Finn has gone with 3-1 Liverpool. Marcel said, 3-0 from a Liverpool fan. It's going to be tough. You guys are going to be well up for it. And Marcel, I'm guessing that you lot are going to put out your full strength 11, which I believe is everyone fit other than Trent. Is that right? I believe that is what Liverpool will do tonight. So we'll see. Mark Sheriff has gone now 5-0. 5-0 Spurs. Harry, I think Liverpool will scrape it 2-1. And then I think you're in the luck of the extra time penalties. I hope I'm right. I'll say this, Harry. I'll say what I've been saying all week. Don't let them score early. Do not let Liverpool in, first 5, 10, 15 minutes of the game. Liverpool grab a goal early and Anfield's going to be a rocking. And from there, it could be boom, boom, boom. Keep it tight. Keep it nothing silly. No dilly-dallying on the ball at the back. No slow passing out the back. No wide open gaps down the channels. Keep it tight. Keep them to not scoring for as long as possible. If they score early, I do feel it could be a very long night. Equally, what if we get an early goal? Equally. Listen, we've seen wins like this before. It's not impossible. It's going to be tough, but it's not impossible. Big up Faz who said, big up, what is our chance of getting through? 0. No, of course it's not 0. We're 1-0 up. Can't be 0. Listen, I think tonight is 50-50. I really do. I think that our goal gives us the edge, and I think Anfield gives them the edge. I think it cancels each other out. As I said, stay tight, stay compact. Let's not do anything silly. Nothing gung-ho. Liverpool will pick that apart. Mark my words, they will. So nothing silly. Keep it tight. Big up to Mark, who said the only thing I can guarantee is we will finish the semi-final with more goals scored than Arsenal. Oh, dearie me. No, Anfield will be nowhere near rocking as last night at the Toon. I think you're wrong there. Prove the doubters wrong. This is coming from the guy. Again, Phil, I've started to not take anything you say seriously. This is coming from the guy who completely flipped about 3 or 4 weeks ago and went, yeah, Savva, you were right. I've lost patience with this team, with this manager. But now all of a sudden, everyone else is doubters. He's a massive flip-flop. Aaron Lawrence, bro, how you doing? I said, big up, Savva. Massive game tonight. Hope we can do it and get to that final. Absolutely. Absolutely, mate. It's all we want, right? That's all we want. All I want is a cup final, right? For me, I've said it before. And thank you to whoever just subscribed. Come on, guys and girls. Let's get a few more subscribers. Come on. Let's get that up there and let's get those likes going. I've got 120 and there's 315 of you in here and growing. So come on, smash that button. Listen, that's all we need. As Spurs fans, some feel-good factor. For me, it's been an awful season. For me, I've not enjoyed the season. I've not enjoyed the last 2 years under Ange. But It's amazing what a cup final can do for you, for confidence, for belief, for feel-good factor. Can we do it? I don't know, mate. I just don't know. Terry, I said, Savva, did you hear Ange's comments yesterday about Tell? He said, Tell isn't just here for 6 months. He'll be here next season. Very bullish, like he knows the contract isn't just an option. Well, the contract is just an option, but again, he says a lot. I don't believe many things he says, unfortunately. He says a lot of things for me, Terry. We'll see. Let's be fair. If we have a terrible end to the season, you know, this guy can turn around and go, nah, you're all right. No. You're all right. I'll stay where I'll stay at Bayern. We could have a great end to the season, win a trophy, and he thinks, you know what? I do want to be part of this. So let's wait and see. First of all, let's see how he performs. Everyone's talking about signing him. Let's see what he does. And big up to Dave. I'm guessing you slept in, did you, young man?
Yeah, lad. I had no jack yesterday, so I had everything to do on my own. So I had a long day yesterday, a few appearances and that. So I sort of slept it out, but I'm here, so I do apologise.
No, you're all right, man. Listen, you know me. I can hold a crowd on my own. It's no problem at all. Big up. A long time since we've streamed. How you doing in general? You well?
Yeah, lad. Can't complain. Cannot complain, you know. Big game today, of course, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, in general, can't complain. Personally, with Tottenham, there's always a complaint.
I was going to say, I'm sure we could find something to complain about. Yeah, listen, Dave, let's get straight into it then. As I said just now, not sure, you might have heard, you might not. For me, this isn't a day about Levy in, Levy out. This isn't a day of Ange in, Ange out, or this signing was good, that player. This is a game where surely as a fan base, we all go, please, let's get through and actually be on one page for the first time in a very long time. Is that fair?
Yeah, look, today's just about getting behind the team, you know. Look, everyone knows we've got issues, but it's time to park that, you know. We're in a cup semi-final, second leg with the advantage in our hand. This is what we're in football for. This is what we support Tottenham for these sort of occasions, for these big evenings. Now, look, of course, it's going to be a very tough night. It's going to be a long night. But, you know, we can pick up them problems, you know, further down the line. Today is not the day. Today is just about getting behind the team, fronting up, and let's see what we can do.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's Anfield away. It's going to be a long night. I think for anybody that thinks we're just going to rock up there 3-0, come away, I don't think it's going to be that. I think Liverpool are going to... It's got all the ingredients, Dave. They're going to feel really aggrieved by the Bergvall goal, right? Now, no matter how much we debate, should the first have been a yellow? The second definitely should have been a yellow. They're going to say he shouldn't have been on the pitch. We didn't care because we won the game. They're going to feel aggrieved. Yeah. And more than anything, Dave, their players are used to these big occasions. They're used to these massive games. We're not. So, I mean, do you think that gives them the advantage to wipe out the 1-0, or do you think it could make them a bit more nervous?
Do you know what? You've also got to take into account the Anfield factor. You know, it's going to be emotional tonight. You know, the crowd are going to be, you know, with their rendition of You Will Never Walk Alone. You know, the players sort of feed off that to a large degree. And sometimes we've seen it on cup nights. I've been around long enough to see cup nights at Anfield. It almost sucks the ball towards the goal. So that in itself is going to be a massive factor. And I think the first 20, 25 minutes is going to dictate this game for me. I think if Liverpool score within that 20, 25 minutes, sadly, I think they're going to be up for it, and they're probably going to get a second, maybe potentially a third. However, I think if we can survive the first 20, 25 minutes to a large degree and keep Liverpool out, that crowd will quieten down. It's something that doesn't get spoke about enough. You go back to the Nottingham Forest game, very, very quiet. So if we can survive the early onslaught, the early enthusiasm with that crowd, wait for it to quieten down, I think that's the time that we go, try and hit them on the counter, get that sucker punch goal, and all of a sudden everything swings in our favour. So I think timing is important tonight.
Oh, mate, absolutely. I've said all week, for me, this is all about first 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I say this a lot, Dave, and I know you do watch-alongs at the same time as me, so you probably don't get to see any of what I do. But one of my phrases that I'm going to put on a T-shirt with my face is "Nothing silly, Spurs," and that's what I'm going to say. First 15, 20 tonight, nothing silly, no gung ho, nothing wide open, flooding 8 men forward. Just nothing silly. If we lose tonight, I want to make sure that we've made Liverpool work for it. I don't want it to be that Liverpool rocked up and went, oh, they're wide open. We've scored 3 goals in the first half. So with that in mind, Dave, we saw a very pragmatic approach, certainly after the first half an hour against Brentford, where it was very backs to the wall, especially in the second half. Are you expecting Ange to start like that tonight, or is it easier to do that against Brentford and more dangerous to do that with Liverpool's forwards?
It's a good question. It's a very good question.
Look,
when it comes to Brentford, Savva, I can't help but think when I look at the second half, were we trying to put into practice what we're going to do this evening? Maybe. And the reason why I say that is because, we sat back, but usually we still try and play out from the back. Kinski just went long ball. And I just wonder, is that what we're going to try and execute here against Liverpool in this game? I think we'll see something similar. If you take your mind back to the first leg, I think we played more long balls in that game than we have all season long. And it was a clear tactic that, suck Liverpool in, defend what you can, and then just put the ball in over the top and try and get runners on the end of it. I think that's exactly what we're going to see here tonight. I know Postecoglou was asked about in his press conference, and he said, look, the aim is to win the game. Some people could take that we're going to go out there, play attacking football and stuff like that. But the reality is it's left open to interpretation. To be quite frank, even if we wanted to come here and play football tonight, we're going to be forced to play on the counter. So I would hope that, the last couple of days, there's been a plan for out of possession. Yeah, you want to try and play your game, but sometimes it's not necessary. So let's see what we've worked on out of possession.
I make you right. Do you know what? I've been talking about this all week. I would try and adopt something very similar to what Newcastle did last night. Newcastle left, especially in that first half, they left Isak and Gordon up there on their own. And those two just caused. I'm guessing, did you watch the game last night? You watched the Arsenal game?
No, I didn't. Honestly, my day was so busy yesterday. I didn't finish up till about 2 a.m.
Yeah, I saw that. When I looked at this morning, when I WhatsApped you, I was like, oh, hang on, has he been out clubbing? He was up at 2:30 a.m. or something. But what Newcastle did, they had almost a 5 out of possession at the back, with the 3 centre halves. And literally, Arsenal had to come forward, right? They were 2-0 down in the tie. Where Arsenal came forward and left gaps, Gordon's pace and Isak's hold-up play, they just ruined them on the counter-attack. And I just wonder whether or not we adopt something similar with Tell and Son with their pace. I'm not talking about either of them two being brilliant hold-up play, but almost going back to the days of Kane and Son in a Jose team where we didn't have anything else, but you knew those two could get you up the pitch. Can you see something like that, or does that go against Ange's beliefs?
I think you will see a front three. I think we'll see the usual front three. I actually don't think both signings will start today. I think both signings will come off the bench today. I think you'll see Richarlison up through the middle. I think you'll see Son off the left and probably Kulu off the right. And I do think we should look to play a long ball. And I think mainly it should go towards Kinski. There's no point in pumping it down the middle and straight down Van Dijk's throat. We know what he's going to do. He's going to deal with that. So for me, you've got to try and hit either Son or Kulusevski as your out ball in this game and go long ball. I just don't think he will go to up top. And I think he will use Tell off the bench later on. And I think that's when the game's a bit more open. You look at Bayern Munich, that's where he's had a lot of his impact off the bench late in games where it's open. And I think that's when he'll bring on Tell and look to hopefully get him on the end of something in behind. But I think to start with, I think he'll go with someone like Richarlison and Kulusevski more so for their battling qualities. Richarlison, he's a dog. You've seen that against Brentford. Blocking shots, clearing headers, making a nuisance of himself, getting in tackles. And I think Postecoglou will use that for the first maybe hour out of Richarlison, and same with Kulusevski before he looks at maybe bringing Tell on.
Mm. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think this is going to be the most anticipated team lineup of the season. And it is the biggest game of the season. Look, I think it's difficult because against Brentford, it was a brilliant defensive display, and it's very rare that we've said that for Spurs for years, like a brilliant defensive display. We've got to be careful though, Dave, because against Brentford, we did concede something like 48 to 50 crosses into our box. And I think it's going to be very difficult if you afford Liverpool the same. That level of quality is just a little bit more than Brentford. I say a little bit more. That it's the next level of quality from a Brentford. And the defenders are going to have to be switched on right from the beginning of the game. This is going to be a real dogfight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to, like last night, every Newcastle player was superb. Every Newcastle player didn't stop running, body on the line, tackling, fighting for every ball. That's got to be us tonight. Surely it's got to be us.
Has to be. It has to be. But do you know what? It's hard to know because there's been some big games this year, like the North London Derby, where you've had the atmosphere away from home, and we haven't really shown up. But then there's been other games like Man City, Villa, teams like that, where we have shown up. So it's really hard to know what sort of performance we're going to get tonight. But what I would say to these players is, it's a cup semi-final. You have to leave everything out there. There's no point in saving yourself for the weekend or for the FA Cup. There's no point. You've got to leave everything out there tonight. You won't get a better shot to get to a final. You've already got the 1-0 advantage heading there. So every player has to leave, everything out on that pitch this evening. And I encourage them to do so because, we can afford to rest them against Aston Villa. If you get to a cup final, people would like to beat Aston Villa, but the reality is I don't think too many people actually really give a shit about that game. If we end up beating Liverpool and getting to the final, I think they'll accept a load of changes in that game as well.
It's a balancing act, isn't it? Because if you give maximum effort and you get to extra time and penalties and go out, now all of a sudden the Aston Villa game becomes really important. Versus if you do go through, suddenly people will. You're right. People will give him leeway. I spoke about this yesterday, Dave. It's two massive games, and the way I looked at it was this. And I think a lot. You know what it's like. When you do a video and a lot of people put comments in your sections, and you think you've not listened to what I've said in any way, shape, or form. What I said yesterday morning, Dave, was, I said, has the manager got 2 days to save his job and 2 games? And I was coming at it from the point of view of, hypothetically, if you lose both, Liverpool and Villa, now suddenly, Dave, we're just a really shit team in 14th, right? That are out of both cups. And suddenly you're going, shit, it's been a crap season. However, you win both. Suddenly it's okay, we can kind of, we're 14th, that's crap. But we're now into the last 16 of the FA Cup, and we're in the final of the League Cup. And that's football, right? That is the balance. It is so finely balanced as to, could it be a good season or is this going to be a shit season? It's unreal.
No, look, I understand it. Like, I think, there has to be a realization that the cup games have Master League form. It's very much like the Champions League run. Very much covered our problems that season. And most people didn't really care because we were on such a high on the Champions League run and stuff like that. It was only really the summer heading into the following season where then problems actually really came back to bite us because they were never properly addressed because of the Champions League run. And, and this season's been similar. The league form has been absolutely crap, but every time the guy wins in a cup, it buys him longer in the job to try and get things right. And this is the week where it could, them cup competitions could go. All of a sudden, you're left with the reality of the league and you're hoping, you can progress from the last 16 in Europe. All of a sudden, it's a complete different spin around Tottenham Hotspur when you don't have the excitements of the cup. So I think this is a huge, huge week. We've got to try and progress in at least one of the cup competitions, if not both, to sort of keep the excitement around, because that's what's kept Postecoglou in a job. Many people said, look, we can get players back, get to the second half of the season and hopefully kick on. Well, we're here now. Let's see what we can do. But I agree. I think if we go out of both, all of a sudden, I do think there's massive questions to be asked. Now, in fairness, you've been asking them for a long, long time. But the reality is, when you don't have the cup competitions, you will lose people.
Yeah, no, of course, of course. And listen, again, as a fan base, we're always divided, Dave. We wouldn't have it any other way. It would make YouTube very boring if we all agreed on everything. But there are a lot of people that have said, well, look, you can't get rid of a manager, for example, because we might be in a final.
Yeah.
Cool. That might end tonight. Do you know what I mean? That might end tonight. And if that does happen, then we've got to go to the league and start getting some respectable, put a respectable run of form together. But that's for after today. Yeah. The question's for me, the question's gonna be tonight is, it's all well and good when we beat Man City and we adapted the way we played, right? For the Man City win. We did it against Brentford. This is different. This time we've gone into the game 1-0 up. This time is very, very different. This time it's away at Anfield. Liverpool are, let's be fair, they're top of the Premier League and they've just won the Champions League group stage table thing. This is a different ball game. And for me, this is the sort of game where he can get somebody, not fully, but somebody like me, who is, my feelings on Ange Day. We talk a lot. You know my feelings. This is the sort of game where I want to see, right, what are you going to do tonight against a top team in a massive game? These are the sort of games where I turn around and go, do you know what? Cool. Seen it against Brentford now. You've then followed it up and you've done it again against Liverpool. Okay, maybe there is something there. So is that fair for a doubter, a negative fan, whatever you want to call me? Is that fair?
Look, even I can understand why people, for instance, have been edged out and stuff. I've always sort of recognized that, I think with the season we've had, it's always going to be a bit of both. You've got people that don't believe in the manager, and look, you've got more than enough evidence to prove why you don't believe in the manager. And then you've also got people that do believe in the manager and say, look what he's doing in the cup competition. So we haven't seen this in years. Look at some of the big teams. We're beating them. There's something here to hang on to if we can sort of get this right. So I can understand why people back the manager and, why people haven't. That's why I've never really gone after anyone that hasn't backed the manager and stuff like that, because it's been more than enough evidence to support their case. But like today is a game where I think, he can buy it. I think if he gets over the line here where no one's really expecting us to, because the size of the mammoth to the task, I think if he gets to a cup final, I think most reasonable people will go, do you know what? I'll sit back for the rest of the season. Let's see what can come of this, and I think it's the right approach to do. If he can get us over the line into a final, you're after taking out Man City, Man United, and Liverpool on that run. And I do think that takes a bit of respect. Usually, when we come up against these teams, we're straight out of the cup. We're still progressing, so I think it's fair if he does get the job done tonight, that people do give him a chance. You don't have to come out and apologize and be like, do you know what, I got it wrong and all that sort of stuff. You just, it's simple. New evidence, for me to get behind. I'm going to sit back and see what happens. It's simple. And it's not being a flip-flop either. It's just, there's new evidence to support a new opinion.
No, look, Dave, listen, absolutely. Look, you know my opinion. I don't want him as our manager, win, lose, or draw tonight. However, I am of the opinion that I can't be contradictory. I can't be a hypocrite. I didn't like it when Jose was sacked before a cup final. I believe if this man gets us to the cup final, then he 100% deserves to see us into the final. Doesn't mean I have to turn around and go, oh my God, we've had a good cup run. I believe in his methods. I believe in him as a manager.
Winning buys belief. Winning buys buy-in. It's always been the case.
Of course it does, mate. And do you know what, Dave? I think something you said there was really spot on. To a lesser degree, this is very reminiscent of the Champions League run. Now, obviously, this is the League Cup and the standards aren't the same as the Champions League. But again, when people say, like that last year under Poch was tough.
Yeah.
And, that last year, if it hadn't been for those nights against Man City, Dortmund, Ajax, it wasn't a good year. It was a very good year up until December, if I remember right.
November.
We started well. November. Yeah, we got top 4 and we were quite well clear in fourth. And then the second half of the season and then was diabolical. But you're right. We had the magic of the Champions League. We all had that dream of, but what if? What if? And what if is an amazing power in football. Right now, people will be sitting there going, yeah, but Savva, I know you're Ange out, but what if he wins us a trophy? What if? What ifs are great. But the moment the what if isn't there, What are we hanging on to? So this is massive for him. This is massive for him and for the club. But what I will say is this, Dave. Surely this isn't a night where we'll dig at each other from other sides of the fence. Surely tonight is a night where we go, as a fan base, don't we deserve a trophy? Don't we deserve a final? Like, more than anything.
Do you know what, lad? It's going to be one of them nights. And I think because everything around Tottenham has been so divisive this season, I think, regardless, if we win, you are going to get people that are going to come in here. I told you should have backed and believed in Ange. Not going to let you enjoy it. Vice versa, if we lose, people aren't going to let me sit there and, suffer in pain. They're going to be like, I told you should not have backed Angepostecoglou. You should have been Ange out, blah, 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 blah. For me, tonight's not about that. We either win together or we lose together, and we re-pick it up Friday morning and move forward. But, don't be going into people's chats, trying to, I told you so, this, that, and the other. It's not the night for it. We're all going to feel the pain if we lose. We're all going to feel the joy when we win. Just let people enjoy it if we can.
I completely agree with you, mate. I completely agree with you. I've already started writing a list, by the way, Dave, of people I know that will turn up in my chat if we lose. If we win, but won't turn up if we lose. And the one thing I always give maximum respect to all of us YouTubers, we don't have that chance, do we? We don't have that luxury. We're there, rain or shine, win, lose, draw, we're there. Look, Dave, it is an interesting one in terms of, like, we're coming into this game right off the back of a transfer window closing. Now, you said you think that Tell and Danso will both start on the bench.
Yeah.
Do you not think in any way there might be a bit of feel-good factor there in going, hang on, we got two new faces that could come straight into the 11, could give that bit of energy? Or do you think it could work the other way of, hang on, they've not played, this is a massive game to come into? What's your thinking when you're saying you think they might come off the bench?
Look, first of all, I think you weigh up the centre-back option. It's Ben Davies is probably going to start a left-sided centre-back. So then it's a toss-up between Archie Gray and Danso. Now, Danso hasn't played in nearly 4 weeks. It's a huge game to bring him in out of the cold and just go, there you are against Liverpool. Stay switched on, keep the defensive line, and start communicating. It's just not as easy as that. We got lucky when we done it with Van de Ven last year, or, when we brought him in just before Brentford and slotted him straight in there. We got very, very lucky. I don't think you can do that in a game of this magnitude. I think you've got to go with Archie Gray. I don't think Archie Gray has put a foot wrong for him to deserve to be dropped, to be quite frank. I think he's been absolutely brilliant at centre-back, probably even played centre-back better than Radu Dragusin. And with Danzo, I just don't think it's right without, with not playing for nearly 4 weeks, just to drop him in there and expect him to put in a worldie of a performance. I think it's a hell of a lot to ask. And I just think you're making a little bit mistake. Plus, if he does drop Archie Gray, how are you going to feel as Archie Gray? It's like as soon as he's got someone in, he's just dropped me. Look what I've done to get us here. And I do think in terms of squad dynamics, I think he's got to trust the players that have got him here and look to get these guys off the bench to make an impact. And also, Postecoglou, when he was asked about Danzo, he said he will play some part, but he never clarified whether it be from the bench or from the start. But then he also followed it up, name-checking Villa on the weekend. He said, but there's another game 3 days later. It's going to be game time here for everybody, which makes me think that's when Danzo will start. Then you move on to Matisse Tell, whatever you want to call his first name. I don't care. Tell. Again, do you know what? He's one you might get away with starting tonight, playing up in the forward areas. It's a little bit different. All you want is the ball for you to go and do your thing. But again, if you drop someone out for him, because ideally, if he does play, you're probably going to see the likes of maybe Kulusevski drop back into the middle to accommodate him, which means then either a Bergvall or a Papamata Sarr, if not both, will have to drop to the bench. Again, if you're Postecoglou, you probably lose them. Bergvall scored you a goal to get here. Papamata Sarr has been one of your best midfielders since you've arrived. So again, for me, it's sort of like you send out the wrong message, and I just think Postecoglou will go at what's got him here and look to use the subs later on.
Like Poch when he dropped Lucas Moura in a Champions League final after scoring the hat-trick to get him there, you mean?
I'll never, ever understand that decision, ever. Even if you want to play Harry Kane, you got to accommodate Lucas Moura, you got to...
Sure.
you got to play that player that's delivered on the big occasion. I'll never ever understand that decision.
For sure, mate. Listen, I'm absolutely with you on that, and I think the difficulty was after that. Everyone made it about Moura versus Kane. For me, I'm like you. I didn't make it Moura v Kane. Cool, play Harry Kane if you feel he's fit, but Lucas Moura's got to start. Lucas Moura was the one scoring goals at the end of that season, and without Lucas Moura, let's be fair, we didn't get to the Champions League final because of Poch's brilliant management. If we're going to be brutally honest, the 2 legs against Ajax, we weren't actually very good. But Lucas Moura dragged us through. But yeah, I get what you're saying. By the way, I do need to just address this comment. When I say, Dave, a lot that people don't listen, there is contradictory. He's talking about me. Savva was saying weeks ago he should be sacked before seeing the cups out, and then saying if we make the final, he should be allowed to see out the final. Chris, unfortunately, this is where you don't listen very well. There's a huge difference between me saying he should be sacked weeks ago. I don't care because we're not in a final. If he gets to a final, he deserves to see it out. That doesn't mean I like him. That doesn't mean I want him to be my manager long term. But if he gets to a final, there's a huge difference, Chris. We're not in the final yet. So if you're going to call me a complete flip-flop, just go and watch another channel, mate. I don't need you in here because your listening and reasoning skills aren't very good, just like your understanding of Spurs. You didn't even know who Harry Redknapp was last week. So, it's really, really difficult to take you seriously. Dave, Archie Gray is an interesting one. You brought him up there, and this guy has got more coverage, I think, across Spurs YouTube channels than any other footballer this season. Lots of people saying, look, like you did, look, hang on, him and Davis were exceptional the other day. They played really well. If anyone is going to be dropped from the centre halves, it would be Gray, purely because Davis is left-footed, right? So it would be Gray, and he would play alongside Danso. Some people are suggesting, well, hang on, let's get Gray into central midfield. In general, do you want to see him there? Because my opinion is I want to see him there, but not in a game like tonight. Tonight is not the game for me where you trial Archie Gray in midfield. What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, just as soon as you brought that up, I don't want to trial him in the back three we tried against Everton either. No, thanks. Look, when it comes to Archie Gray, look, I get, people see him long-term as a CDM. That's where Gray sees himself. It's where, anyone in and around the England underage setup, they all rave about him. That's where he's been playing. And I think naturally that's where he's going to end up playing. But I did say it this season, I think he's going to have to wait a year. I do think once he started being used as a full-back, either side centre-back, because we're short across the back line, that's where Postecoglou is going to use him this year. And I don't think, it's any knock against Archie Gray. I actually think it speaks volumes of how good he is. But Postecoglou has looked at him out of all the midfielders and said, you could play a left back, you could play a right back, and you could play a left-sided centre-back or right-sided centre-back. I think it actually speaks volume of the talent that Archie Gray possesses rather than a slight on his name. And it's something that Ajax do all the way through the academies. If you're in one position, they get you to play in different positions. So what sort of, say if you're a midfielder, they get you to play across the back line. So you know what protection you need to offer that back line, where they want the ball and stuff like that. There's many reasons why Ajax, through the academy famously play them out of position so they get used to where everyone else should be, etc., and get a feel for the game. So I think it's very good for Archie Gray in terms of, the versatility in that. And I think he's just going to have to wait till next season to sort of push himself into that CDM until the squad's in a more better place where you no longer have to use him across the back line. But he deserves all the praise he's getting. This is a guy that's 18 years of age. He stepped up from the Championship. Initially didn't really get too much game time. All of a sudden just dropped in there and said, we need you to play 90 minutes, week in, week out, 3 games a week. Do you know what? He stood up to the test.
I'll give him maximum credit for that. I've said the same thing. I won't be contradictory. I'll say the same thing I've said all season. For me, I really want to see this guy at some stage have 5, 10, 15 games in centre midfield. Not one game. I don't want to see him one game there and we all go, there you go, he's brilliant or he's shit. I want to see him play in midfield for a run of games. So, for example, if we negative side of things, if we did go out both of these 2 games, right? There's nothing to play for in the league now. We're not going to get European qualification through the league unless we won like 10 of our 14 remaining games, which is a big ask. Yeah. For me, what I'd like to see is for the remainder of the season, I'd like to see him used in that midfield so that he goes into the summer and we've seen him, that he can build and grow his confidence. And I think he deserves that chance in midfield. I'm not going to sit here and pretend, Dave, that I think he's a brilliant midfielder. I haven't seen him there, but I believe he deserves that chance. And for me, we'll see how good he is. We'll see how good he is in number 6. Look, another player, another position, Dave, is the goalkeeper situation. Now, there's lots of reports that Vicario's been training for 2 weeks and that he could come straight back into tonight. Kinski came in. I thought he had a brilliant debut. Since then, I think he's been very hit or miss, which you would expect from a young keeper. If fit to play for you, does Vicario go straight back in, or does Kinski keep his place after the first leg performance? Are you rewarding the performance, or are you getting your number 1 keeper straight back in?
Oh, do you know what, Savva? I was doing my predicted lineup late last night, and I was saying in it, usually this would have been a straightforward pick. But then I was on Last Word on Spurs last night, and Ricky brought up, on the show that, there's murmurs that Vicario, has been training behind the scenes to get himself ready for this game. And it's like, okay. So they they obviously think that he's going to be ready. So, do you know what? I went with Vicario. I think we could spring a surprise. You go back to a couple of weeks ago, there was pictures of him back in the gym and that. So you'd like to think he's somewhat close. And I think if he's ready, I simply think it comes down to, if Vicario feels like he's ready to play or not. And because he's in the leadership group, I think if he says, I want to play, I think he starts. I think Postecoglou trusts him. But there's a trade-off to be had. Let's make no mistake about it. Kinski's much better from set pieces and to a large degree has alleviated the vulnerability, whereas Vicario is vulnerable from set pieces. It's his biggest weakness. And if you play Vicario, it does open Liverpool up to concentrating on their set pieces, getting the right delivery, and just getting Van Dijk and Konate barreling in. They're going to be very, very hard to deal with. However, Vicario's a much better shot stopper. You look at Kinski in the North London derby, that goal against Trossard should have saved it. You go back to that Leicester game, that ball that came across. Yes, Porro should have done a lot better, but the reality is he had a chance to smother it. It ended up going underneath his body into Jamie Vardy to bundle home. And then that second goal, I'd argue, Vicario probably saves as well. So I'm looking at the game today. I'm expecting us to be under the cosh. I'm expecting Liverpool to bombard us, take shots, from multiple angles. On that basis, I go with Vicario because he's a better shot stopper.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because as normal, after the first game, Spurs fans had kind of declared that Kinski's your number 1 and he's better than Vicario at this, and this. Look, what I've seen of Kinski is I agree with you completely. I really do agree with your assessment. I think he's much better in the air. I think he's much more commanding at set pieces, as is Austin, by the way. I think Austin's done well commanding set pieces. And this is the trade-off for me. You talk about trade-offs, and you're right. The shot stopping of Vicario far outweighs Kinski, but the set pieces and the handling of Kinski outweighs Vicario. And here's how I look at it. When I watch Kinski, he makes a lot of saves where you'll see where he actually parries the ball into dangerous areas. And goalkeepers are taught, do not parry the ball in front of you. Do not parry the ball back into the 6-yard box. And that's what I've noticed with Kinski. He does that a lot. Can I ask you
on that, Savva? I actually see a lot of goalkeepers do this. Has times changed where, for some reason, because of stats and everything else, they've said, well, actually, if you put it in that area, you're less likely to concede and stuff like that? Because I do see a lot more keepers doing this now. And I'm sort of with you. It's sort of like I've always, grown up and watched goalkeepers parry it far away as they can, Anyone that did parry it centrally, they were always pulled out for it. But it seems to have changed a little bit.
Yeah, it's strange. It's strange because, growing up, and if you watch goalkeeper coaching sessions, watch any tutorial on your YouTube, on websites, whatever, you will see that goalkeepers are taught, aren't they? Whatever you do, if you're going to parry that ball because you can't hold on to it, it has to go left or it has to go right. It never goes in front of you. Yeah. And you're right. It has slightly changed. I don't think it's changed for the better on that front, because if you're a forward, you want the ball to land. in the 6-yard box. You want a scrap. If it goes wide, now you've got a different situation. Now, Vicario's better at that than Kinski. But here's what I was going to say. If we play similar to how we played against Brentford, what we are doing and what we did see, it was by design. We invited a lot of crosses into our box. And by the way, I thought Damsgaard was absolutely superb for Brentford the other day. Getting on the ball, delivering ball. Him and Mbuemo just delivering balls in. Now, if you are going to have that many balls being delivered into your box, who do you want doing it? Who do you want as the goalkeeper commanding that? Is it Kinski? Is it Vicario? However, Liverpool will have more pot shots than Brentford. Salah loves a shot. Gakpo will have shots. Diaz will have shots. Who do you want facing the shots? Well, I want Vicario. This is a real interesting conundrum here. And either way, it will get highlighted tonight, one way or the other. It will get highlighted.
Do you know what actually really sort of made me swung me on my decision altogether, Sav, is I looked back against Brentford, watched the game, watched the highlights and that. And to be fair, in that game, the amount of corners and crosses that came in, Kinski didn't actually come out and deal with most of them. It was actually the defenders, midfielders sort of dealing with them. And that's what made me swung my decision in the end, where it's sort of like, I do think we're much better, in recent times with dealing with them balls since Bentancur's come back in. He's getting in there, he's helping out the centre-backs and that. And that's what actually ended up making me swing towards Vicario on the end, was that the defenders done very well against Brentford, actually defending rather than relying on Kinski coming out and claiming.
No, I agree with you. Look, for me, I think if Vicario's fit, he plays. But again, it's this word fit. And we've seen it a number of times this year, Dave, where we've rushed people back. And everyone knows, you don't have to be a physio to know this. If you rush players back, they're susceptible to injury really quickly. And what we don't want to see is an excuse tonight where we go, oh, well, Vicario wasn't sharp today. It's not his fault. He's not fit. Well, if he's not fit, if he's not sharp, won't play him. But what I would say is, in general, what I think Spurs definitely need to work on in the summer with Vicario, they've got to work on his crosses.
Should have been done last summer.
Sure. You would like to think, though, that this is one of the things that when they're scouting the players, Dave, that we're going to go, right, we like this player because he ticks 7, 8 of the 10 requirements. We can work on the other 2 things. It's the same thing. I've grown up working in talent and recruitment, right? And when you're hiring people, you always look and you go, do I want a unicorn who's a 10 out of 10? Yes. How many of them exist? Not many. Okay. What I need, this, and this. These are absolute fundamentals. I can work on these 2 things.
Yeah.
For me, Spurs right now should be working with Vicario to say, you know what, you're a great shot stopper, but we need to work on you on 2 aspects. One with your feet, because that's how we play. And the second needs to be how you deal with crosses. Do you agree with that for this summer, that's got to be a fundamental training, a learning for Vicario?
No, 100%. Do you know what? In terms of his distribution, just quickly, Savva, I think his short distribution is actually better than Kinski's. I think Kinski's longer distribution is much better and much more accurate than Vicario's. But the set pieces should have been worked on last summer. That should have been the first thing. It was highlighted last season. We got knocked out against Man City in the Cup, didn't we, because of it and stuff like that. So for me, that should have been worked on in the summer with Vicario, and it doesn't take a lot. First of all, he's got to go to the gym, bulk up a little bit, and so that, when players or oppositions do put these screens, put these blocks, you can just run straight through it. You know what I mean? And it's not hard. I mean, there's so many machines nowadays that you can pop a ball into and set it at different angles for the goalkeeper to come out and claim. You can get so many players there, coaches to put balls into the box, get them to come out and claim. So I just don't understand why that weakness was still there to a large degree this season. It's something that should have been rectified in the summer already. Something that really needs to be rectified this summer.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is interesting. F. Baresi, I was going to say, if it's not Franco Baresi, one of the greatest defender I've ever seen play, said Spurs defense is more organised when Kinski is playing. With Vicario in the team, the defense is more chaotic. Now, Dave, is there any truth in this, or do you think it's just more down to we've not had a settled back 4 to actually no either way.
Look, I can understand where Mr. Baresi has maybe come to that conclusion, but you know what, Sav? It goes back to something my dad's always said to me. You know, he sort of be like, look, if the defenders ain't the problem, it's the midfield, leaving them far too exposed, you know, leaving far too much gaps. And since Bentancur's come into the team, I fully understand what he means. You look at Bentancur compared to maybe Basuma, who was in that role. You go back and look at the Brentford game and a couple of games before that. Bentancur has been out to the left, out to the right, snuffing out counterattacks, which then allows the fullbacks and the team to get back in position, reorganize themselves. Whoever was playing in CDM in Bentancur's absence wasn't offering that protection. Also, look at the amount of balls that come into the box, Bentancur getting his head on it, clearing it, offering a lot of screen and a lot of protection for them two centre-backs. Basuma wasn't doing that for large periods in that CDM. So I actually do think it comes down to that CDM, Bentancur coming in there. And also, in possession, he's so much more better than Basuma. He allows us to keep a lot more possession. He can punt that ball in between the lines, whereas Basuma couldn't, which I actually think sees us keep a little bit more possession than what we have in recent weeks. And I actually think it all comes down to Rodrigo Bentancur slotting in there, rather than it being instructions from the goalkeeper.
Look, I agree with you. I think the difference is, I think Basuma, unfortunately, he isn't a number 6. I mean, I've said this for years. This guy is not a number 6. He's a box-to-box midfielder. Yeah. He doesn't want that responsibility. No. He's a guy that gets the ball, turns on the half turn and drives forward. He's not the guy that puts his foot on it and says, right, what are we doing? Let me start off an attack. That's not his game. No. What I do know, Dave, is we talk about what Vicario needs to do in the summer. For me, will be very telling to see if Ange has learned, if he is here in the summer and he does get a transfer window, will Spurs go and buy a bloody number 6? Because, I mean, we've talked about... I don't think they will, but we've talked about this for years, Dave. Like, and always, Sean always said, didn't he, that monster number 6 that we need. If ever you look at a team and tactics and think, God, that team needs a defensive midfielder, it is Tottenham Hotspur. And yet this is now 4 windows that have come and gone and we've not addressed it at all. So is it that we're waiting and we will get one? Or is it that Ange truly thinks you don't need a number 6? Because I truly think we do. And I think most fans do.
Do you know what? I don't think it's a case that Ange doesn't think we need a number 6. You know, he had Callum McGregor that played in a deeper role at Celtic, vastly experienced. You know, he also, Rio Atata has played there, you know, and they've done very good jobs for Postecoglou at Celtic in that position. I think for me, I actually don't think we're going to go and get a number 6 this summer. I'd be very surprised. I actually think Rodrigo Bentancur can do that job. The problem is keep him on the pitch regularly. Whether it's his mouth, whether it's his injuries, you know, it leads to him being less available than more available, which is a huge problem. But when he's in this team, we look so much better, in my opinion. We get so much more grip of the games, a bit more in control. We don't look as open. It's not as end-to-end. And I feel like he's absolutely crucial to Postecoglou and this working out at Tottenham Hotspur. Then, if we go and sign more defenders next summer, all of a sudden you release Archie Gray to come into that position. You've got 2 then. So for me, I'm not convinced we are going to go in the summer and look to purchase a number 6. Now, if a really good one does become available on the market, I don't think we should not go for it. I think we should, because then you can also push Bentancur into a number 8 role and let him get forward, which he's done under Antonio Conte to great effect. So we're not buying by it. I just don't think we're going to sign one. I think he'd be more than happy with Bentancur and Gray.
Yeah, it's interesting for me. I'll be honest, Dave. I want nothing more than a number 6. What the big thing though as well is I agree with you. I do feel that what we've done has made our defenders look worse than they are. But doesn't it make such a difference when we don't invert those fullbacks? Like when we don't invert those fullbacks, we just look so much more solid. We've seen it against Villa. We've seen it against City. We saw it against Brentford. I'm really hoping we see it again tonight, because the moment you invert the fullbacks, you're saying to Salah, Gakpo, Diaz, go on, get him behind us. So are you expecting to see more of a flat back 4 today like we did against Brentford rather than the inversion?
Do you know what? I think Pedro Porro, the inversion of Pedro Porro was always the bigger problem rather than the inversion of an Udogie or a Jed Spence. And the reason why I think maybe he was getting Pedro Porro to invert sometimes into centre midfield or sometimes progressing down that right-hand side is because I think he was trying to use Pedro Porro's passing range. Basuma didn't have one. Basuma's a guy that can get on the ball, go and dribble. So I think maybe at times he was looking for Pedro Porro to sort of invert in there, get that ball, and be that sort of playmaker from that deep position. Now that Bendicore's there, you don't need Pedro Porro to invert to be able to use that passing range and stuff, which means you can actually say to Pedro Porro, play a traditional fullback role. You don't need to bomb forward. You also take into account when you've got Brennan Johnson on the right-hand side. Fucker can't cross a ball. So then you're also asking Pedro Porro, by the way, also get forward and do Brennan Johnson's job for him as well, which is a huge problem. And I think Ange Postecoglou is trying to cover a few attacking faults with Pedro Porro, cover a few midfield flaws with Pedro Porro. And it came back to bite us. It was always leading to him being out of position, then going down that side and scoring goals. But with Bendicore there and with Kulusevski back out on the right-hand side who can cross the ball, all of a sudden, you're not asking Pedro Porro to make up for 3 or 4 other players' flaws, which means you can actually say to Pedro Porro, just concentrate on your right-back duties. And I think it's a game today where it's simple. Play a traditional full-back either side. Forget about going forward. The assignment is all about containment. We don't need you to take gambles. We don't need you to be caught out of position. And if I'm Postecoglou, I say, Pedro Porro, you don't need to go forward. You've got an unbelievable passing range. Use that, but sit back. I would say to Jed Spence, you can get back. So if the opportunity arises, we know Mo Salah ain't going to follow you, which we can get 2-on-1s down that side. Make sure the time's right, you can launch forward. But Pedro Porro, if you go above your halfway, I'm pulling you off. That's exactly what I'd be doing today. I don't know whether you agree. I know it's a bit of a long-winded answer, but
no. I get it. Listen, look. I've always been a fan of, if you are going to invert 1, not 2. And if you are going to invert, you've got to have a number 6. It's that simple. And if you look at the best team in this country for the last 8 years, if you look at Man City, right? Man City have always had one of their fullbacks would go into midfield. The other one would slot in and make a back three. But they always had Fernandinho or Rodri sitting there making it 4 at the back and snuffing out danger. Tottenham at times this year, Dave, we've inverted both fullbacks with no DM, and you're like, wow. And then you look and go, how wide open can you be? And if we sort that out, I don't think you're a million miles off being a decent team. Look, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but the big question for me has always been, is this how Ange wants to play and it's stubbornness, or is he playing that way through necessity? And every now and then, like the Man City game, like the Brentford game, you go, okay, cool, yeah, I like that. And then he has, Dave, always reverted back to type. My question is, can he find a middle ground that allows for his style of play, but also allows us to be more solid at the back? Because teams that win things are solid at the back. We've known that, and is that saying, isn't it, that attacks win you games and defenses win you titles. Yeah. You know, and that for me has always been my issue with this manager, that he's not tweaked long enough. Tweaking in one game doesn't make me go, oh my God, loads of credit, well done. Tweaking over time makes me go, yeah, you've learned. So that's what I need to see from this manager. But inverting both. Look, I want to talk about, if we're talking about inverting players and fullbacks, let me just quickly get some super chats. By the way, people are asking where they can find Dave. If you don't know who Dave is, where have you been? Where have you been? This is Dave. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. Oh, that's me. Thank you, Ben. I can't thank myself, can I? Thank you, Savva. Well done, Savva. This is Dave's channel. Great channel. Always good to listen to. Don't agree with everything Dave says. He doesn't agree with everything I say, but we always have a good football chat. So please get over there, subscribe to his channel. Guys and girls, we've only had 3 subscribers today on my channel. We should be getting 5 or 6 more as we head towards 16,500. And please do smash those likes. We're on 191. We should be on at least 250. Let me get some... let me just get some super chats in. Here we go. So Black Spider. Sorry, Sorry, black. What am I doing? Red back spider has said, evening, Sav. Although I'm a Reds fan, I actually think Spurs will go through. Keep up the good work, legend. Listen, Redback, I hope all of that is true. Just kidding about the legend part. Listen, I hope you're right. I hope we do go through. There's this notion that people seem to think because I don't rate the manager that I don't want to win games like this. I'm a Spurs fan. I'm going to be a fan. I was a fan before Ange was here. I'm going to be a fan after he was here. Of course, I want to get to finals and win things. So, look, I hope you're right. And thank you very much for the super chat. It's very much appreciated. Jerome, big up to you, my man. Hope you're well. Thank you very much. Has said, we have to play like we did at home against Liverpool and also defend the same way like Brentford. We could come out of a result, but it is a Liverpool team which is flying right now. Yeah, look, Jerome, I think we talk a lot about what tactics are needed tonight. But I do agree. I've seen a lot of people in comments the last sort of 48, 72 hours have said, no matter how we play, Liverpool will probably dictate that we're pushed back. This is Liverpool at home. I can't see them going down with a whimper. I just can't see it, Jerome. So let's see. They are flying right now. So wouldn't it be nice to knock them off that pedestal? And for all the people talking about Liverpool on for a quad, wouldn't it be nice to be the team that means they can't do that? Obviously, if they won a treble, that's not too shabby. But wouldn't it be nice to be that team? Thank you very much, Jerome. Mr. Box Office, Alex in the house. How you doing, bro? Very kind of you. Has said, I do not believe Ange changed the tactics against Brentford. The players were too tired. Ange has admitted this. Spence inverted earlier. Alex, I do believe that the way we started the game was pretty much normal, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
I do think you could see definitely the last 15 minutes of the first half and definitely the second half that it was tweaked and changed. Listen, I don't rate him, Alex, but we've got to say fair when he's fair. Second half, they were definitely told to sit in and counter-attack. And they did weather a huge storm. I thought Brentford were very good, just with no finishing touch. So big up to you, Alex, who's come back in again. Thank you very much, my man. Feeling very generous, are you, this morning, mate? Said, David Bentancur has been average this season. Again, you wouldn't expect anything else from Alex. No. Again, overhyping players. He is the main problem why our midfield is crap. Making excuses. And out still. Dave, would you like to respond?
Yeah, I'm not making excuses, and I don't think I am overhyping Bentancur. I'm simply saying he offers a lot more in that number 6 than Yves Bissouma does. We look a lot better with him in that number 6. You know, we can control ball a little bit more, and he's much better defensively. I'm not sitting here overhyping. I'm not saying he's the next coming of fucking, Rodri. No way am I sitting here and saying that. But,
There you go, everyone. Dave Irish Hotspur.
Yeah,
Bentancur is better than Rodri. There you go. There's your headline for tonight.
That's what Alex is going to run with. He's going to pretend I said that, so he will. But Alex, honestly, I'm not overhyping him, but surely you got to agree. We do look much better with Bentancur in that number 6. I agree with you. He's a huge problem because we can never keep him on the football pitch. I agree with you. But when he is there, we look so much better.
Yeah, do you know what? Listen, everyone knows my opinion on Bentancur. I think Bentancur's a good player. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's shit. I think he's a problem in terms of availability. It's been that way for 4 years now. That we kind of never seem to be able to get a 20-game stretch out of him. Yeah. We never seem to be able to get consistency, injuries, suspensions. All that hoo-ha with Uruguay. For me, I like him. I do think he's the best of our midfielders when he's on it. I don't think he takes you to that next level. That's only my opinion. Yeah. I don't think he does. But listen, I do think it's a low bar in our midfield at the moment. And I've gone on record a number of times, Dave, and said, for me, I want to see a new midfield. I want to see at least 2 new centre mids, senior centre mids come in and we really revamp. And I want to see, this is only me, I keep saying what I want to see, Dave, I want to see a midfield where we've got some consistency. I want 2 men in midfield, men, not kids, men that are always fit, that you know what you're going to get. They don't have to be the greatest footballers in the world, but they give you a 7 or 8 every game. They work hard, they're strong, they get back, they get forward, they tackle. And someone like a John McGinn, again, not the greatest footballer I've ever seen. Every game you watch him for Villa, he's involved. He's battling, he's fighting, he's leading, he's driving forward. And I feel like we need a character like that in our central midfield. Would that be fair, Dave, or am I being a bit harsh on our options?
No, 100%. I think you're absolutely spot on. I think, look, that's probably once we get this forward line sorted, once we get another maybe defender in or two over the summer, depending on what happens with Romero's situation. I think obviously the midfield is the next area you should target. Look, you should never be comfortable with your problems. You should be always looking to freshen up the squad, keep the competition healthy and stuff like that. But I do agree with you. I think, the midfield has been a large problem. It's too open, sometimes too gung-ho, not combative enough. And I do agree with you. I would like two proper men in there. Like, look, maybe this is old school for me, but it's always been called the engine room. You've always had players in there that didn't excel in one area, actually excelled in everything you needed to do. For instance, it drives me mad when you see someone goes to me, he's a CDM, he's not a ball player, he just goes and crunches people. Yeah, but I grew up where I watched Roy Keane. He could crunch people, score goals, spray passes, and do the simple things effectively. And I believe that's what your midfielders should be doing. They should have a bit of everything. I've always sort of been of the opinion, technically, to a large degree, your best players play in the midfield because they can do all sides of the game.
Agreed.
I just need to run to the toilet, Sav. I'll be back in 1 sec.
No, go for it. Go for it. Listen, I think a lot of people now talking about ex-Spurs players. Yeah, you're looking at your Scotty Parkers, you're looking at your Dembélés, your Wanyamas, your Palacioses, mainstays of midfields that played more often than not. And listen, Scotty Parker, I thought was a really good midfielder. He just got on with it. For me, I do agree with Alex, not about Dave, but I not just Bentancur. I do feel we make a lot of excuses for players. For me, I feel we need to get that next level. For me, not of a Bentancur, just in general. I think we need a bit more in midfield. Squoze and Frozen, that's a great name. Said Savva, I'd argue Højbjerg was that character. For me, just not quite good enough. Højbjerg, not quite good enough. Not good enough legs, in my opinion. I think you need a bit more pace in there from that midfield, if I'm honest. Agreed, Phil. Yeah, a Palacios, someone who did the dirty work, did the hard work, and then gave the ball to the better players to play. Wow, Dr. Dark has said, I can see Liverpool scores 3 goals in the first half. Too many goal scorers. Look, I mean, that's what we've got to guard against tonight, right? Like, we've got to guard against that. Ahmed, yeah, I mean, listen, as I said, Kulu gives the ball away so many times, it's unreal, but I know a lot of people don't want to believe that. But even when you look at Bentancur against Brentford, he gave the ball away a hell of a lot. We see what we want to see. Yes, almost like a Joe Linton, almost like that. Pace, power, drive, tackling, running with the ball, pass. Yeah, agreed. Somebody like that ilk of player. Tweak said, we need a Perryman, end of. We need many things. Agreed, Dave. For me, we need Højbjerg there. We need that level of Højbjerg, not, you know what I mean? We need that mould of footballer, but not that footballer. Look, what will Gray turn into being midfield? What will Berg? I don't know. It's too early to tell. I see some good things in Bergvall. I see some bad things. I see an 18-year-old who's learning and developing. And, the aim with those younger players is to develop and harness the things that they do well and to cut out the things they do badly and help them build and grow as a footballer. Chris said, Kulu gets chased down and tries to do too much. I agree. I mean, for me, though, it's a lot of lazy passing from Kulu. But look, as a midfield in general, they always need to hold on to the football. The midfield needs to not be so quick in any team to turn over possession. Oh, for sure. Listen, you'd love a Barella, wouldn't you? You'd love a Barella. Where are we? Phil has said, I'm hearing Højbjerg's having a good season. Hopefully we get a good fee from him. Isn't the fee agreed? Isn't the fee agreed? If I'm not wrong, I can't remember if the fee was agreed for him. Leo, now you're talking about the next level of footballer. When we talk about the Bentancurs and the Højbjergs and Carrick was there. There's a reason Michael Carrick played central midfield for the best team in the world for about a decade. He's a top midfielder. And if we could sign anyone as good as Carrick, you're laughing. He's a top footballer. Look, Dave, I don't want to go forever today. I want to go, wrap up in the next 5-10 minutes. Just before we do, Faz has said, no individual mistakes. We have a realistic chance. And I'll tell you what, Faz is spot on. Thank you very much, Faz. I appreciate that. Today's going to be about eradicating those individual mistakes. And it's something that we've done a lot this year. People want to blame the players. Some people want to blame the manager, the tactics. Either way, there's a lot of mistakes. And at Anfield, we've got to eradicate them. The silly passing, the giving the ball away, not holding it up. So everyone's going to have to be 100% switched on in terms of the mistake portion, aren't they?
No, 100%. And look, this is the beauty of a team game. I think that's why when you do get over the line as a team, especially in football, it means everyone's had a, more or less had a flawless run in whatever competition, and that you really deserve it. And at the end of the day, look, the reality is Postecoglou can work on stuff during the week. 10 out of 11 players can execute it. All it takes is one player to unravel it. And for me, I think my biggest concern today is Pedro Porro. He is going to be the target today. Make no mistake about it. Jed Spence has locked Mo Salah up twice this season to a large degree. And if I'm Arne Slot, why would I keep forcing the ball down there knowing how good Jed Spence has been? So for me, I'm looking to switch balls on top of Pedro Porro, in behind Pedro Porro. I'm looking to put my crosses on Pedro Porro. And I'm also looking to funnel that ball down the left-hand side where you get Robertson and Gakpo doubling up, looking to get the overlap, put the ball in behind, put the ball in across the back line. So it's all about him standing up for me. If he cannot make a mistake today, I think we've got a real chance. You look at Archie Gray, Ben Davies, and look, I'm not Ben Davies' biggest fan, and I haven't been. They were brilliant against Brentford the other day, man for man. They were absolutely brilliant. Jed Spence, brilliant. Pedro Porro, to a large degree, he had a very good, solid defensive display. But there were a couple of moments down his side still in that game. So for me, if he can be flawless today, I think we've got a real chance, because I do think that's where they're going to target. I think first 20, you're going to see everything go down that side looking to get joy. So I think he really has to stand up today, and it does depend on him for me.
Dave, I've many things we disagree on. I've never agreed with you more. I've said this for 2 years now. Every single team targets our right back area. Now, again, it gets associated with Porro because he's the right back. It could be anyone at right back. Because of the way we play, they will target Porro. Yeah. And down that left-hand side, you're going to have Robertson. And what they've been doing is they've been sort of drifting Gakpo out there rather than Diaz, haven't they? And what you're going to see is triangles over there between Robertson, Gakpo, and Diaz. I think you're going to see that. And the worry is, you're right, is Leicester exploited that gap down the side. Ipswich with Leif Davis exploited that space. Bournemouth exploited that gap. Every manager now, it's almost like I said the other day, just joking, it's almost like there's a WhatsApp group for Premier League managers, Dave. And everyone said, right, who's got Spurs this week? Yeah, what should we do? Just go down your left wing and they're right back. And for me, that's the difference. Sort that out, you nullify a lot of it. Yeah. And Jed Spence, I want to give him his props. Listen, I've been a doubter of Jed Spence the last few years, more so because we don't get to see him play. I think he's proved a few people wrong. Like, look what I can do. Big game for him because, yes, he's had some good games against Salah, Dave, but Mo Salah is the ultimate big game player. Yeah. Love him, hate him, whatever, admire him. Mo Salah has this horrible knack, right, of popping up in massive games and scoring goals. And that's going to be a real key battle tonight, isn't it? Spence versus Salah.
No, 100%. I think it's going to be a key battle. But, when I go back to the two games, Savva, the 6-3 and the 1-0, that 1-0, Jed Spence locked them up, but everyone else around him done their job. In that 6-3, Jed Spence locked them up, but everyone else around him didn't do their job, which then meant Mo Salah then could start drifting across, drifting inside, and you're not so much concentrated, defending them one-on-one with the ball. He can just come inside and get on the end of things because everyone else was getting joy everywhere else. So I do think if everyone else can do their jobs today, I actually back Jed Spence to lock up Mo Salah once again. I was very impressed with what he'd done against Brian Mbeumo. He's been terrorising defences up and down the country all season long, and he absolutely locked them up. Whether Mbeumo went to go on the inside, the outside, looked to hold up the ball, Jed Spence just had his number. It was the same with Mo Salah in that 1-0. Yeah. And do you know what? I'm going to say it now. Thomas Tuchel's been to a few Spurs games this season. Jed Spence should be called up into that England squad. You talk about the shortage of left backs, with the right backs, Kyle Walker and stuff, maybe getting on a little bit. I think Jed Spence should be picked for that England squad. I think he's one of England's best fullbacks.
Look,
and I know it seems crazy to say after such a small, bite-sized sample, but when I look at a lot of what else is out there, I can't help but feel, England should be looking to call him in and take a punt on him.
Do you know what, Dave? Before we talk about England taking Spence, what I want to see from a Spurs point of view is when Porro and Udogie are fit, does Ange believe he's in that position? Because my worry, again, this is my worry with Ange. Most managers right now will be looking at Spence and going, hang on, he's our best defender week in, week out. And the thing for me is when people say to me, oh, but we're missing Udogie. Dave, I don't think we are. I think Spence is, I've said it, I know I'll get a lot of stick for this. I think Spence is a much better footballer than Udogie. And he's definitely, if not footballer, he's a much better defender than Udogie. And for me, I want to think
better as well.
Who's that? Sorry?
And he dresses much better than Udogie as well.
He's dress sense. For me, let's see when they're fit, what does Ange do? Because you've got to remember, this is an ego thing now for Ange. This is managers don't like having their ego tested. Yeah. This is a manager that said, I'm not playing you. This is a manager that said, I'm not putting you in my Europa League squad. Now he's seeing him play and you're going, hang on. Spurs fans are going, hang on. There's something about you. So when they're fit, what do you do? Now, you've got those people, Dave, that say, well, look, he is a right back. Let's be brutally honest. There's people that say, right, well, he should be our right back and Porro should move further up. Other people don't think Porro's got the pace to play further up. For me, I think it's a nice problem to have if you get that right. But I get the feeling the first game, Jed Spence is fit. Udogie is fit. I bet you we see Jed Spence as the guy that loses out. I bet you. I just get the feeling with this manager he will do that.
If he does that, though, I think he'll piss off a lot of fans. Look, I know a lot of people have made out about Postecoglou not playing for Jed Spence for quite some time. You have to take into account he played that Coventry game. Off the back of that Coventry game, I think he pulled his groin for a couple of weeks. So that's why we didn't see him for a few weeks after that Coventry game. But to be in Postecoglou's credit, he's gotten more out of Jed Spence than any other manager has done in the last few years.
Yeah, but he's been forced to play him, right? Like this is where I don't give him the credit, Dave. He's reluctantly played him, right? You've got to remember, Udogie all season was carrying an injury. And at no point did this manager go, Udogie, take a rest. Spence is going to play. Porro plays every minute, Dave. And at no point does he say, Pedro, take a break. Spence is going to play. If he had done that, I'd say fair play. For me, though, I think he's been forced into this and now he's given himself a headache. If I'm honest, that's only my opinion.
To a degree, there is maybe an element where he's being forced to it. I think, you look at even Reguilon, right? He sent them both out on loan last year, which shows to me they weren't part of his plans moving forward. Same maybe to this season. And look, Jed Spence has had attitude problems everywhere he's been. And I think, what Postecoglou, even now, Postecoglou isn't very quick to come out and praise him. I think he's just trying to keep him on a short leash. I think he's trying to manage the character of Jed Spence. But for me, I almost think it's impossible not to have him part of the squad moving forward. I think... in years gone by, we've seen Emerson Royale go out to left back, not being able to handle it, look like a shit show.
Dave, I feel like you and Mr. Box Office need to jump on a stream together.
I would if he spoke a bit of sense, it'd be possible. No, I'm only messing. I love Alex, but I
let's
think
make it happen. Dave versus box office. Yeah, let's make it happen. Brilliant.
No, I love Alex, but I think he's too set in his opinions and doesn't want to take things on board. But I think he has to keep Jed Spence. You look at Jed Spence, he's a right back gone out to left back. Looks better than most left backs out there. And I think it's a testament to how good of a player he actually is. I've always maintained a good player can play in different positions. And even if you're asked to play out of position, you can handle it without making large mistakes, large errors, or looking all over the place. I think players that only suit into one position or certain system, they're system players. I don't rate them sort of players. For me, Jed Spence is a guy, you can play him on the right or the left, and you know exactly what you're going to get. And I think Postecoglou has to be open to the idea, okay, Spence maybe wasn't my original plan, but look what he's shown. Now he's in there. And if Postecoglou doesn't want to move on forward, most of Europe are going to be after him. You think no one else is sitting there looking at Jed Spence going, he's Tottenham's best defender. He's absolutely brilliant. Not only that, look at the impact he has going forward. Look how quickly he can get on that ball, turn on the afterjets, and turn it from defence to attack. A plus, play that ball in behind. I think there'll be a lot of clubs looking at him. So I think, Postecoglou, I think he'd be making a rod off his own back if he excluded Jed Spence once players got back. And also, just quickly with the Porro idea into right wing, we've got to stop doing this. We've got to stop, reinventing the wheel, moving players. Oh, well, he's a CDM. It's not working out there. But what we'll do is we'll move him further up the pitch. I keep saying this. In the forward line, you have to have the unique ability where you can play with your back to goal. You have to be able to hold up the ball. Right there is what Pedro Porro can't do, which means he's never, ever going to make it at right wing.
Do you know what, Dave? I love that you said that. I'm so fed up with seeing comments like, oh, what about Romero as a 6? No, he's not a 6.
That one drives me mad.
These players grow. Listen, you think a player like Rodri in the number 6, Fernandinho in the number 6, these people, they've grown up playing that position. They know it. Just because Romero's good on the ball doesn't make him a number 6. And I'm sick of seeing he should play there. You're right. He should play there. He should play there. Stop trying to. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, if you need that position, how about buying that position? I'm completely with you, Dave, on that. I'm all for, if you have to say for a few games, Porro's going to go and play right wing, fine. But not as a long-term, not as a long-term option. Porro, unfortunately, is probably one of the biggest losers in the Antonio Conte saga, because Pedro Porro, almost a Dogi as well, they were bought as wing backs. And this is why, for people that say, oh, it shouldn't be that different, right back to wing back, it's a massive difference.
Wing back, you don't have to concentrate on defensive as much because you've got centre halves covering you. Full back, you do.
Exactly. It's a massive difference. So I completely agree with you. Look, I'm all for Pedro Porro with injuries saying, right, let's put him at the right wing. But as a long-term suggestion, I don't want to see Pedro Porro as my right winger. Sure, interim, not long-term. And I definitely do not want to see Christian Romero as a number 6. Number 6 is a calm, right? This guy, whatever you think of him, is not calm. You can't have a number 6 that goes, there's the ball, boom. You can't. You've got to have anyway. But
the thing is, what we're talking about just quickly there, Savva, is when the transfer market's closed and it's in season, there might have to be a time where you might have to reinvent the wheel to a certain degree, like you said, temporarily. But it should only ever be a temporary fix. As soon as there's a market open, you should look to go and address that problem. If you're reinventing Romero into a number 6 or Porro to a right winger, it means other people ain't doing that job, which means then you should be going out and buying players, not reinventing the wheel. Have we not learned that, Tottenham? We've Dyer from a CDM to centre-back. Look how much that came back to bite us. There's other players that have been moved. I think the only time we've ever really got it right is Gareth Bale from left-back to left wing. Apart from that, I'm sick of trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm sick of, you're not playing well in your own position, but what we'll do is we'll reinvent you and give you another shot for another 5 years in a different position. I'm sick of it at Tottenham Hotspur. Go and buy the player.
Yeah, I could, Dave. I can't agree with you more. Identify the problem, address the problem. And you know, this is what directors of football and scouts. This is their job. 365 days a year, Dave. Their job isn't to go, yeah, well, we can't find a right winger. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just put Porro out there, you know. But look, Dave, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me. What I'm going to do for 2 minutes before we go, I'm going to ask everyone right now, let's get your score predictions for tonight. 1-0 up. Please, when you put your score prediction in, don't just write 2-1, 1-0. Let me know to who. Unless it's a draw, then I don't need to know. Let me know your score predictions. Dave, I'm going to ask for yours in 15 seconds. Guys and girls, keep it clean. Be nice to each other. I'll start. I think it will be a narrow 2-1 defeat in 90 minutes. And I think it goes to extra time and penalties. Now, on that front, I think it's an absolute lottery, tiredness. I don't know. But I don't think when people are saying 4-0, 5-0 Liverpool, I don't see that in any way. Dave, what are you saying?
First of all, if it goes to penalties, Liverpool are far more experienced in this situation than Tottenham Hotspur are. We will go out if it goes to penalties. We cannot let this go to penalties. We have to try and get it done either in the 90 minutes or extra time. You know, you look at it. If it's Alisson or Kelleher in goals, they've both faced penalty shootouts and they've both come out the winning side of it. Same way a lot of their players, they're more used to taking them. We're going to be sending up a lot younger lads than Liverpool, which I don't care who you are. You're a young lad going up in a big game like that, psychologically, it's getting on top of you. You're just hoping you can bury it. So for me, I don't want it to go near penalties whatsoever. Do you know what? I'm going to go 1-1. That's all we need. All we need is a draw, and we're true. I'm going to go 1-1. I think it's possible. I think we are going to concede. I do think we have to score a goal. So I'm going to go 1-1, potentially. Could maybe be 2-1 to Liverpool. They might score late on, maybe. But I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to back the boys. Hopefully we can get the job done.
Yeah, listen, as I said, I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be very tight. I'll end this show by saying exactly what I said at the start. Just nothing silly in the first 15, 20 minutes. Nothing silly. You're right, Dave. If Liverpool get that early goal, for me, it completely wipes out the entire first leg. If they get a goal in 5 minutes, they've got 90 minutes then to go on and say, right, it's 0-0. Let's just go and win the game. Got to keep that at 1-0 for as long as possible. Yeah. Got to. But look, let's just have a quick look. We've got Liverpool 4-1, 2-2, 1-1, and then pens, 1-1, 3-2 to Spurs, 3-1 Liverpool, 2-2. 3-1 Liverpool, 3-2 to Spurs. A lot of people saying three goals for Spurs away at Anfield. That would be...
We haven't won at Anfield since 2011 under Harry Redknapp, by the way. So we ain't winning this game. I'll be very surprised to see us win it.
Yeah, amusing as a football fan. Again, if you can get into half-time, look, whatever happens, if we get into half-time 0-0 in the game, right, 1-0 up on aggregate, it's going to be the longest 45 minutes of our lives in that second half, isn't it? It's going to be attack after attack, header after header. Liverpool fans are gonna cry for every time the ball hits a player in the box, every player that goes down. It's going to be the longest 90 minutes in the history of football tonight. But Dave, thank you so much, mate. Everybody, there is the link to Dave's channel, the Irish Hotspur. Come on, you know him by now. You must do. He's been around for years. He's like senior pro out there.
Been around too long, Dad. Way too long.
There you go, Dave, and his channel. Their next target, I'm guessing, is the 20K. Like me. Yeah, we're going for the 20K. So please,
might hit it together.
Yeah, we'll get it together. We'll get it on the same day. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Guys, girls, thank you very much. Please like, please subscribe. I'll see you tonight at 6 p.m. For all the build-up, and everyone will be either shitting themselves or delusional or whatever we are doing. We'll be doing it. Take care. As always, today I'm not going to talk about leaving it. Today I'm just going to say this. Come on, you Spurs.
Let's go.